Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your beer.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Welcome in. It's the weekend. You are right here with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580, where we're about to hit you in the head with all the trending topics, all the headlines that have been running over your timeline and group chat. But naturally, before we do that, we must send blessings, love, light, all of those things to the family of Walter Scott, one of the founding members of the Whispers, one of the twins, LA's finest. I know that's right. I always forget that. Very much so. Scotty passed away, Walter Scott, after a 6-month battle with cancer. 81 years old. Listen, the Whispers on Solar Records, I believe that was the label they were on. That's Saturday morning cleanup music right there. That is barbecues and cookouts. That is Saturday at the Park. That's Soul Train. And let's talk about the choreography, the footwork. Listen, they had it. Hits upon hits upon hits. So, we have to appreciate this music, this long-lasting legacy that those before us have laid down. I know that we are in fast times, different times. Things move very quickly, and we move on from things really, really fast. And the Whispers, you kind of have to be into R&B to really know who they are and understand. They aren't one of those groups that immediately pops up when you talk about the 80s and that scene of groups and music, Maybe now you'll add them to your playlist, but they've been on mine. But I'm a music head, so that's how that one goes. So salute to them. Shout out to Walter Scott's family, and especially his twin brother, because I know that has to be really, really, really a different feeling that he's experiencing right now. So, but you know what we do over here, right? We get into those trending topics and headlines, and we are getting into your guy Nas is betting big on Queens. Is it a good thing? We'll talk about Nas's new venture that he's joined up with that is taking place in his old Queens neighborhood. We're also going to get into Diddy's defense team. They laid down their final arguments today, essentially saying Diddy was a swinger, not a sinner. We'll get more into that. Simon Guobadia, I I knew I was going to jack it up. I had it. And then I lost it. Guobadia. He is definitely giving hateration and holleration to Porsha. He's on a little interview tour, and he has a lot to say about what she was awarded in the divorce and how he feels that she played him, she targeted him, and he's not really here for it. So we'll get into those details. Plus, it is summertime. And we have a little summer TV preview for you coming up at the end of the show. We have interviews coming up with Dominique Thorne. She is the lead. She portrays Riri Williams in the Disney Plus series Ironheart. We talked a bit about that last night. We also have Jordan Alexander. She's on season 4 of BMF. She portrays a character named Purdy, who is the first artist signed to Stomping Ground Records. That's Meech and Terry's label before BMF Records. And there's a new Prime Video series that just dropped this week. It's called Countdown. And if you are a favorite of TV shows, procedurals, and so forth, you are going to want to check not only this series out, but the cast. So let me give you the premise of the show. It is when an officer with the Department of Homeland Security is murdered in broad daylight, LAPD Detective Mark Meacham, portrayed by Jensen Ackles, you know him from Supernatural and The Boys, is recruited to a secret task force alongside undercover agents from all branches of law enforcement to investigate. But the hunt for the killer soon uncovers a plot more sinister than anyone could ever imagine. And like I mentioned, it stars Jensen Ackles, Eric Dane, you know him from Grey's Anatomy and Euphoria, Jessica Camacho, you know her from The Flash and Watchmen. And it also stars Violet Bean, Elliot Knight, he was also in The Boys, and Yuli Lakafutu, he's featured on Young Rock. So we have interviews with all of them coming up. When we come forward, we're going to get into the details of the final day of the Diddy trial as far as the arguments go. It goes into the hands of the jury on Monday. So a lot to think about. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you.
Agnes was in deep trouble with the IRS.
I owed the IRS a lot of money. I did not know what I was going to do. I was scared.
Agnes caught a break and found out about Optima Tax Relief.
But when I called Optima Tax, they guaranteed me that they were going to help me out the best that they can. And they did.
Optima stopped the IRS.
No more telephone calls, no more letters. Optima Tax took care of everything. I can finally sleep at night. I was stress-free.
Agnes was finally free from her IRS nightmare.
It was like a burden was lifted off of me, and it was a great feeling.
Are you in deep trouble with the IRS? You might want to listen to Agnes.
I would refer Optima Tax Relief to anyone because they got me debt-free from owing the IRS any more money.
Call Optima right now for your free consultation. Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions.
The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. It's Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And before we break down these trending topics and headlines, of course, if at any point you want to get in on the conversation, 800-920-1580. Hit us up on social media, KBLA 1580. I'm at Stiletto Jill. Holla at your girl. Say hi. What else? Let's see. YouTube. The chat is always bustling. Shout out to the chat. Get in there. Holla at them. There's always interesting conversations that are happening there. Now, let's get into these trending topics and headlines. First up, Nas is a part of a $5 billion Queens casino expansion, right? He is putting on for Queens, not for the first time, but, you know, in a different sort of way this time. And he posted a new Instagram video, right, promo. And he revealed his plans for the $5 billion expansion of Resorts World New York City. So the vision, a next-generation casino resort complete with a luxury hotel, a performance venue, and a community innovation campus. Not really sure what that means, but sounds interesting, right? He joined the project last year as a partner, and Nas emphasized that his goal is to build something legendary for the people, not just around them in Queens. But what I want to ask you is, do you think that Nas and Resort World can upgrade the neighborhood, Queens, without pricing people out? The people that, you know, made the neighborhood legendary to begin with. This is a question that we have been having back and forth about SoFi and the different elements that are coming to pass in Inglewood. There are neighbors on both sides of that equation and their feelings towards it and what it means for Inglewood ultimately. There are also things as far as the train, you know, bringing more transit stops. We now have a transit that goes all the way to LAX for a shuttle. That's something that we've never had in this city. But LA has traditionally been a car city. We're seeing more and more apartments being built in the area, but no parking. That is, if you are within a certain piece of mileage from a freeway, a main thoroughfare, then there's no parking with it. There's lots of things coming to various areas. There's a Costco with an 800 apartment unit coming to La Brea and Coliseum. So people, these expansive, you know, building situations sound good in theory, but are they always really good for the neighborhood? So just a question. I wish Nas much success. I hope he really means what he says as far as helping those around the neighborhood as well. You know, I'm sure that is his intent, to be in step with his old neighborhood, but you just have to ask the question every now and again.
I hate to, you know, say this, but I think that specifically Inglewood, right? There's not going to be, you know, a middle, right? There's not going to be a middle ground. Either you're rich or you're poor. And just using Inglewood as an example, I see that it's going to be like that. Just looking at the rent now, I mean, we're approaching $3K a month if it's not already there. Well, those apartments that are on SoFi, those are running like $3K, 35. And you could just kind of see the demographic just change a little bit. And I see that that's happening all across America and whatnot. And I just think, You know, if you're in that middle, when they say there was a war on the middle class,
It's serious.
It's serious. Either you're rich or you're poor. Have-nots or haves.
Well, we'll wait and see what happens moving forward. We live to fight another day, and hopefully things will, make it at least balanced for those that are there, right? All right, so let's get into Simon and Porsha, right? Simon is talking major cash trash, bleep, to U.S. Weekly. A judge has made the decision to uphold the prenup that he and Porsha both signed back in 2022 when they were in love and excited, right? Simon said he made it clear initially, in life or death, Porsha and her family will not profit from his years of hustle. He is accusing her of triggering the prenup on purpose to score a Real Housewives of Atlanta storyline. And he said that she disrespected him in the process of all of this that is happening. And he also accused her of targeting him, right, as far as their relationship, right? He said that she is not going to profit off of his 43 years of hard work, particularly at the expense of his own children, right? He's living in Dubai. Remember, he was deported. Somebody called ICE. And, he said this isn't the first time that he's had a prenuptial agreement. And he said in past relationships, the agreements were honored and never challenged, largely because they were approached with mutual respect and without animosity. In contrast, this situation has been marked by an unprecedented level of disrespect and dishonesty. He said Porsha's actions for triggering the financial provisions in the prenup and manufacturing, he's saying the whole divorce is manufactured, were strictly to benefit financially, and she's causing direct harm to his name, his business, and his family, right? And Porsha has, of course, said, I wish him the best. She's getting $40,000 a month. She gets to stay in the home for 2 years. There's a couple of other little things and pieces and benefits that Porsha has locked onto. But if he truly believes Porsha was just with him for his money, I say again, were you not married, Simon, using your money as bait to hook a bigger fish so you could have a baddie on your arm that was on TV? Yes, you were. So I believe fair exchange is no robbery. You got what you wanted out of it. It just didn't in the way that you envisioned it, right? And I don't know. You just got to kind of maybe take that L. As far as your immigration issues, I feel as though these are things that he has been dealing with for quite some time. You just got caught up with the wrong administration, unfortunately. So, I don't know if Porsha would be that individual to go and call and report him. She says she didn't. I don't know any differently. But listen, this is the prenup that you agreed to. You signed it. That's what you would say to her, right? There are triggers in it, but you agreed to them. So you kind of just got to buck it up and stop trying to play victim now. Oh, the poor wicked, beautiful woman seduced me. You were wide open for that because let us not forget, Simon, you were married. Or something like that. I forget the story that they spun. So anyway, let's get into the details of the final day of arguments in the Diddy trial, right? So we know that closing arguments were presented by the prosecution. They basically laid out a timeline of the events. They also linked the events to the specific charge that was listed under there to help jurors, to help them understand, referred them to many other instances they felt of said crimes in their evidence books or however that material is given to them. Assistant U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic described Combs as someone who doesn't take no for an answer And while he committed crimes of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy for 2 decades, she said Combs counted on silence and shame to enable and prolong his abuse. She said he used a small army of employees and an inner circle that included personal assistants and bodyguards to harm women and cover it up. So basically, in a nutshell, that is what they're basing the theory of racketeering on. They presented things regarding Jane Doe, the work instances. They presented theories of Cassie, as well as the assistant Mia when she said she had to stay up for 3 days and so forth. And we'll see. Meanwhile, the defense presented their closing arguments. And Mark Agnifino began their closing arguments by saying Diddy's trial has been a tale of 2 trials, one of exaggeration and one of evidence. He said that there's a trial is told by witnesses, and then there's a trial that is told by the mouths of prosecutors. He said that he believes the false trial is what has been exaggerated, that it is not a real trial. He added that the trial of that evidence is about Diddy's lifestyle, and he said that Diddy lives a swinger lifestyle. And whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. And that is what the evidence shows. He also went on to add that Diddy's employees, which we discussed earlier and at various points as we've been going through this case, have all said nice things about him, adding that he's self-made and a successful black entrepreneur who's not always nice. Is that a crime? No. Did they always like him? No way. Let's not even go there, he said. But they loved him and they didn't want to leave him, which is true in most, but not all of the cases, right? Furthermore, the lawyer said not one witness that was part of the alleged racketeering scheme was brought to the stand by the prosecution. You didn't hear that evidence. You didn't hear from those witnesses. All you heard was various amounts of hearsay and alleged and things from people that had received immunity from the prosecution, right? He also mocked the search of Diddy's home, saying that there were guns shown. The guns had nothing to do with the charges related to Diddy. The explanation behind the guns was never really made public in the same way. Same thing with baby oil. There are lots of people alleging that there might be drugs in the baby oil. Cassie was asked on stand about that and said, no, it was just baby oil. There's no crime in buying baby oil and Astroglide, right? He said boxes of Astroglide taken off the street. Woo! I already feel better. So he was going there, right? They said that they found personal use drugs, not an enterprise, not a distribution to sell the drugs, to market the drugs. They also mentioned that Diddy, that instead of calling the police, most of the witnesses filed civil suits to be paid, to make money. They said Cassie Ventura sued Sean Combs for $30 million because Sean Combs has $30 million. This very investigation came out of that case. No $30 million, no lawsuit. No $30 million, no lawsuit, no criminal case. That's why we're here, because of money. He said that Cassie and Jane Doe, both of those were relationships. And they did have elements of domestic violence, but he's not charged with domestic violence. He went on to say that the relationship with Cassie, they were in love. Cassie's no joke, and that's why he loved her. She matched him. She was like him. And he added, she was always free to leave. She chose to stay because she was in love with him, which is something that Cassie alluded to on the stand. They also said that Cassie and Diddy were a different type of love story. An all-American love story almost. That's a bit much on it. But a great modern love story. Those were the exact words. But meanwhile, we all saw that video. I don't know how many love stories that stuff is a part of, but that's what it is. So the jury deliberations start Monday, June 30th. If convicted, he can face up to life in prison. There's a variety of charges he can be charged with at different amounts of time. I think the least amount of time is maybe 5 to 10 years. So we'll have to see what happens. Side note, Kanye, up to his old Ye shenanigans, he and King Combs, Sean's son Christian, dropped an album on the 27th, a surprise EP called Never Stop. One of the tracks is called Diddy Free. You can check that out if you choose to. Diddy's children were all in court today, including his 3 daughters. Following the end of the trial, there were some photos that looked as if one of the twins was in tears coming out of the courtroom. Now, we don't know if something else could have triggered that, but it was said to have been an emotional day. So there we go. Listen, thank you for locking in. Remember, coming up, we have interviews with Dominique Thorne, the star of Disney Plus series Ironheart. Jordan Alexander, she portrays Purdy on BMF, and the entire cast of Countdown, which hit Prime Video, just Prime actually, this week. Check it out. It has some of your TV faves. Lock in. And make sure you are locked in here with me every Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. and on weekends. Plus, make sure you're tapped in on Monday because I got something coming for you guys. Something that you are not going to want to miss. And, you know, like I said, it's still giving season. We're still celebrating our 4 years. So I got a treat coming up for you guys. Listen, stick and stay right there. When we come forward, we'll have those interviews for you.
Till 6 in the morning. When the sunrise, we'll be on it. Oh, I got 5, you know it's so live. Tell me when to go, baby, when we gon' slide. Baby, when we gon' slide. Hey, hey. Up all night, baby, when we gon' slide. Oh, hey.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mike Island with BIN News Now. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo are set to sign a U.S. brokered peace deal. According to Reuters, it will be signed in Washington, D.C., giving a sign of hope for the end of fighting that has killed and displaced thousands of people. The 9th escaped New Orleans inmate has been captured. According to CNN, the sheriff's office says one last inmate is still at large. Antoine Massey escaped with 9 other inmates in May. He was arrested Friday afternoon in New Orleans, CNN says. Derek Groves, the last remaining escapee, is still on the run. The University of Virginia's president is stepping down after pressure from the Trump administration over the school's DEI efforts. According to the New York Times, James E. Ryan has told the board overseeing the school that he will resign in the face of demands by the Trump administration. I'm Mike Island. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the free iHeartRadio app.
Double trouble on the East 105. Now, first past Long Beach Boulevard, an earlier motorcycle accident has cleared from lanes, but traveling farther east on the 105, just past Paramount Boulevard, it's an accident. This one is still working. This crash is in the left-hand lane. So the East 105 is stop and go from the 405 down to the 605. 210 westbound before the 118, an accident involving an electric vehicle and an SUV blocking the left-hand lane of the roadway.
The International Hot Rod Association Outlaw
Nitro Series
is back. 5 events, 4 locations.
1 explosive season.
Top fuel, funny cars, promos. You are in the stands. Get your tickets now at IHRA.com. It's IHRA.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A troubling trend continued this week for HBCU men's basketball programs around the country. For the 13th straight year, no HBCU player was selected in the NBA draft. The 2-day draft ended Thursday night at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The last time an HBCU player was picked in the NBA draft was in 2012. Norfolk State center Kyle O'Quinn was a second-round pick of the Orlando Magic. The Dodgers have quietly moved into a tie with the Detroit Tigers for the best record in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers and Tigers are 51-31. Since June 14th, the Dodgers are 11-2. They take a 4-game winning streak into tonight's game at Kansas City. The Angels have won 3 straight. They play the Washington Nationals tonight in Anaheim. It's a milestone game for the Angels. If they win, they go above the 500 mark for the first time since April 20th when they were 11-10. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
So the last time we saw Riri, it was in Wakanda Forever. Now we get to see her back home in her element and get to sit with her and explore her through that process. Can you tell me what you feel her biggest evolution that we're going to get to experience in this series is?
Oh man, Riri is a young woman. She's very much a young person, and I think in her journey, this might be the first time that she is realizing she actually needs to sit with all that she is and all that's happened to her in order to move on to who she's gonna be. In her 19 years of life, she's had so much experience. I mean, in that one summer, we saw a whole new worlds of experience that she experienced in Wakanda Forever. And so, no doubt, and especially the folks who really love the comics will understand that she has such a rich origin story with so much heart involved. And I think this time around, being on the backside of something insane and as epic as Wakanda, this might be the first time that she's faced with the question that I think a lot of us face as we go through life, which is, a lot's happened. Who am I gonna be now? And that's really exciting.
Along those lines, you mentioned how being at home and the culture is rich there. There's so much there for her. Can you talk a little bit about the beats and the things that stood out to you about Riri at home and that experience?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, there's just a different way that you speak when you're with your family than when you may be with your colleagues or your classmates over at MIT. There's a different way that you just express yourself and relate to the world around you, a different way that you walk even when you feel the comfort and the familiarity more than anything of your home. And so that alone, I think, adds a new layer to the Riri that we got to see in Wakanda. Who are you when you don't have, you're not in your lab and you're not making money off of these students and you're not out here, being grown and doing your own thing, but now you're back with your mom. Like, who is that version of Riri,
So in that, this is as much about family and heart and those grounded moments as it is the big stunts that we all look forward to with Marvel. Which one kind of excited you more getting to tap deeper into since this is a series?
Oh man, I think definitely I was really excited to see how we could balance that. Pretty early on, I made the request to have Riri get in there and, really be a part of the stunts with the suit and without, So I think that was always something top of mind for me. How do you balance that with the humanity and the fact that she is just a young girl? So I'm really, honestly, I'm kind of in the middle of looking forward to seeing how the two meet each other, how it's shown up in the show and how people, respond to that.
So in this, we get to see Riri deal with some magic. We get to see Anthony Ramos as the Hood. What was that experience like, getting to play off of him and, being focused this time on Riri?
Yeah. Anthony gives you so much to work with. He really, really does. So it always felt like there was room to play and try new things and just see what works, see what sticks, which is kind of what Riri is doing, trying to see and suss out what even is this man, what is he talking about, does it have anything to do with me? So yeah, there's a fun challenge, I think, hidden in the introduction of magic, but Riri is for sure down and ready for that challenge.
Talk to me about Purdy, because right away, I'm getting energy. I'm feeling little Aaliyah vibes, all of the things. So tell me where she's at when we initially meet her, and we're going to go on a journey with her for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. So it is that story of, a young woman full of potential and aspirations, but surrounded by the wrong people and the wrong influences, can be stifled and stamped out. And instead of being supported in her artistic vision or her preferences, you know, being controlled. So we really meet her at that part where she definitely has her own voice, but she hasn't quite figured out how to make that known or to stand in it.
So with that, you know, we see her when she's shooting her video, borrow jewels, you know, the standard hookup, cars, courtesy of Meech and Terry.
Yeah.
What are her impressions of the music industry and what it takes to be successful in it?
Well, I think that she's just like full of ambition. So she's almost ready to just accept whatever her manager tells her because she's like, I know what I want. So she's definitely got like a tunnel vision. And she's like, if I have to make these sacrifices, then that's just what it is. And, you know, she's also being fed that information by the person who wants to, you know, control her. So
about that relationship, is she in love with him? Is it just a means to an end? What are her thoughts as far as he goes and his, you know, leadership?
Yeah, I think it's complicated. I think when, you know, someone is helping you and you have a big dream, you almost don't want to see the bad sides. And so I think that she has this vision of him, which he's told her that he's going to do, going to make her a big star, right? And so she's just focusing on that. And I don't think she even lets herself entertain that this man might be a real problem for her or negatively impacting her.
Okay, so what are her impressions of Meech? Because he comes at her heavy with some offers, you know, that sound really appealing, but I'm sure she heard that on the other side as well. So what are her thoughts about Meech?
Yeah, I think it's that, right? I think she thinks all of these men are more or less going to be the same situation. So it's kind of like, yeah, Trell approached me with opportunities as well. And then, you know, there's the underbelly of it. So it's like, why would I trade one for the other? And the other is like an unknown. You know, at least with Trell, I know what I'm dealing with. But I do think that there is a fear there because I think she does see a better life with Meech, and she does deep down believe him and in his values and can sense that. And so I think she starts to feel that she might need to make a change, and that's scary.
So there are other elements at play. She is doing this R&B vibe, but she really has a heart for hip hop. Has she always been that way and she kind of got molded into R&B, or is this something that has evolved since she's been on this chase?
Yeah, I think that she's always just gravitated towards music, and that Trell caught her at a time that she maybe hadn't specified what she wanted, you know? And so he just imprinted his vision onto her, which happens so often with young artists, right? They're not necessarily sure. They know they're drawn to this, and then someone who wants to kind of like take that will be like, well, you're doing this. I think that over the course of time, when she started becoming more of an R&B artist, she started realizing that it wasn't aligned with her. Like, as this is moving forward, you're like, actually, this isn't quite it. And I really do have these rap aspirations and these hip hop and this like edge to her.
So we also see her get a kind of Cinderella moment. She's gonna, you know, go through some things. And one of the things that I thought important was that Meech wanted to make sure her self-esteem was built up. Is she in that state because of what Trell has imprinted on her, or is that who she is fundamentally?
I think it's a combination. I don't think that Purdy is inherently lacking in self-confidence or self-assurance. I think that she's lived a life that has caused her to second guess what she knows is true deep down. She knows she has an authentic message to say. She knows that she's talented and is a great artist and can do all of these things. But I think And that's life, right? Especially as an artist, as like a vulnerable, you like open your heart. The world can sometimes chip away at that truth, at that honesty and authenticity. And I think that some things in her life would have impacted that. But I definitely think that Trell would have been a really big accelerator because he wants her to feel insecure. That's the point. It's easier to control an insecure person.
These are facts. Now, we got another little thing added to the mix with Purdy. She likes to ski, and we see some deets of that. Is that going to cause a problem for her moving forward in this situation?
I mean, I feel like substances are such a risky situation. I think especially with artists, you know, you're going into a lot of nerve-wracking situations, and if there's a quick little bump, if you will, that you can give yourself to kind of really push yourself out there, it can be a dangerous thing because then you feel that maybe you need to rely on that. But we will definitely find out Purdy's fate as regards to her little preference.
Last thing, we get to see some top hip hop moments and artists through this, you know, Purdy introduction. How does that feel, recreating like such an iconic moment in hip hop?
I still have chills. I remember every single second of shooting the Source Awards. It was incredible. Like, it was truly just like seeing everyone dressed up and representing these hip hop icons and the energy in the space. Cause I think we were all feeling that. We were all feeling that this is incredible. And just like, I feel like there was a lot of excitement. So it was a really, really incredible moment.
Are you ready for the hottest entertainment scoop in Los Angeles? She's bringing you exclusive interviews with today's biggest stars, behind the scenes Hollywood insights, and all the entertainment news you need to know. She's breaking down what's trending, what's ending, and what's just beginning in the world of entertainment. You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Black voices, they matter here, and we've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580. Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Starting off, Evan and Amber are both brought to this task force, very different personalities. Can you tell me a little bit about their personalities and what their first impressions were of the other once they met up?
Oh, fun. They're pretty different. They're pretty different little spicy characters. I mean, Evan is the new girl. She's the youngest edition. She's got a lot to prove. Which I feel like is very, very different from Amber.
Yeah. Who feels she has nothing to prove to anyone but herself. Like, I don't have to prove it to
and
anyone.
don't you ask.
Right. I know what I'm capable of.
Yes.
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yes, they're so different.
Yeah.
But I think that, you know, oftentimes what can happen is, you know, female characters will be written to where they're in competition with each other or they don't get along. And Derek, I remember in maybe my first time speaking with him, he was like, I'm not interested in that. Mm-hmm. Not like, you know, they're not pitting each other against each other. They are a team. They're here to lift each other up. And there's one scene where there's like a moment of like, are you gonna... And then it's like, no, you know what? Respect.
Yeah.
And it clicked. And then like, there's never been, you know, hitch of like any kind of competition, because why would there be? Like, just because, you know, we're both the same gender doesn't make any sense. Like,
absolutely.
lift each other up.
Absolutely. I got to speak with a lot of law enforcement officers when I was doing research for the role, and a lot of women, and it was awesome. And they were so inspiring. One of the biggest takeaways I took from it is like, women have to support one another, especially in these worlds. It's so crucial to not be pitted against one another, or not to see each other as competition, but like, I got your back, you got mine. I'm going to raise you up and you raise me up. And I love the opportunity to do that with women. And
I think community in general, there's no, the friendly competition is one thing, you know, like, and that happened all day on set, like playing games and everything. But I think our whole cast, our whole crew, everybody just wanted to lift each other up. You know, so that was the kind of end goal for all of us.
So they're brought to this task force under sort of mysterious circumstances. And as you mentioned, there's a couple of different personalities. But for your characters in particular, you get to push past the normal tough girl tropes. So can you talk a little bit about what their impressions are of being asked to join this group with all of these specialties spread around?
I think, you know, as happens in life when you're in a new situation, entering a new group, you know, you don't know people. You're sussing them out. You're kind of just trying to, you know, measure people and assess them, and kind of what is your intuition telling you about them. And I think certainly for Amber, she's super guarded, and that has always kept her safe. It's had to, you know, in the world that she operates within, she's had to trust her instinct above all else. And I think the way that she has stayed in the game for so long is she's built a wall, a world of walls around her, you know? And so I think it's just like, well, we'll see. Okay, nice to meet you. I'm cool. Like, she doesn't come in with a chip on her shoulder, but she comes in guarded. Like, we'll see. And she does. Bit by bit, they get to show exactly who they are and why they were chosen to be a part of this task force.
And I think something as big as the task that they're facing sort of ultimately forces them to rely on each other in a really beautiful way. And
takes the ego out of it.
And Blythe, Eric Dane's character, you know, his whole thing is be there for one another. And I think we did that on and off screen.
Yeah.
So last up, what was the most exciting thing that you felt like you learned about as far as crime goes through your character's lens and dealing with it?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go.
Okay. I truly loved when I was doing all these interviews with DEA agents, former DEA agents, people who went undercover, police officers. I loved learning about what drives a person to pick this pursuit, and especially people who like to go undercover, who love to go undercover. What is your motivation? Like, why that? You know, because it's the ultimate acting job. You're acting for the highest stakes around, which is your life. One wrong word, one miscalculation, and that could be the end for you as a person. So those stakes are so high, but it's like they love the adrenaline. They love the thrill of not knowing what's going to come next. They love convincing people and staying in that world, and they love the excitement. And the passion that I discovered that was innate to so many of these people who chose this world was so intoxicating and inspiring. I love that.
So cool.
Yeah.
Jill Munroe with KBLA Talk 1580. Great to speak with you both today.
Hi, Jill.
Hi. So starting off, these two gentlemen seem to have different approaches to law enforcement, but maybe a little bit more of a connection under the surface. I'll start with you, Eric. Can you tell me a little bit about Nathan and what his thoughts are about Mark and what attracted him to bringing him onto the task force?
Well, there's actually a line in a scene that explains why I brought him onto the task force. And that's maybe the best investigators are the ones that leave their teeth in the bone. And that's the kind of investigator detective Mark Meacham is. He's resilient and unflappable and single-minded focus, and determined. And, when you got somebody who's got all those attributes in an investigator, he's like a pit bull.
Jensen, what about you and your thoughts about Nathan and your impressions of him?
As far as Mark goes, I think he's always a little unsure and a little unsteady with the people that are making the calls for him. But he has somehow found himself in the orbit of Blythe, who is somebody who is a little bit outside of the box thinker, and I think he relates to that. And I think that there is a stillness and a quiet leadership that Blythe possesses that Meacham responds to, and he's somebody that he wants to run plays for. He's somebody that he wants to score for and to win. Maybe it's a big brother something relationship type thing, but I think they kind of find a little bit of each other in each other, and I think that's one of the reasons why it works. And I think partly the reason that Blythe asked Meacham to come back. There is a bit of a tension, a bit of a struggle, and a bit of a butt heads there, but I think it's just two strong-willed men who have their idea of what it takes to get the job done. And I think because of that will, there's a lot of respect built between the two of them.
So for Meacham, when we meet him, he's deep undercover. Are we going to get to see him be able to adapt to having to kind of share space with others? Because he says undercover, he's a lone wolf, but I think that extends to how he works as well.
Yeah, it is, and this is a testament to Blythe getting kind of these, these misfits, these deplorables, these unlikables together, finding a common denominator and building upon that. And I think that Meacham he's got a relation. Obviously, he's got history with Blythe. He's got history with Finau, and so I don't think he's uneasy about sharing space, but he certainly doesn't have a problem taking it up.
I'm Jill Munroe with KBLA Talk 1580. How are you today?
Jill,
great, Jill.
Off the bat, the paintings in the background are amazing.
You're an amazing. Look at this art around you. Looks incredible.
Thank you so much. I love to hear that. So starting off, your characters are drafted into this mysterious sort of task force. So can you give me a little bit of backstory on each of them and what their impressions were of each other when they joined this sort of elite secret group?
Luke Finau works for the LAPD gang unit, gang division, works with weapons, narcotics, and that kind of thing for about 15, 17 odd years. Really, he has no impression the first time he gets introduced to the squad. I don't think anyone really does. Everyone's kind of locked in on what the mission is and why people from different agencies have been brought in together. And I think what kind of becomes apparent to him early is that this is a solid group of people and a trustworthy group of people, professional and good at their jobs.
Keontae Bell is a third-generation federal agent with the FBI. I think when he joins this task force, he's very excited. He's intrigued. He sees an opportunity to shine and advance himself in his career. And I think, to the contrast, he's quite aware of who the other people are in this task force, not to compete necessarily, but he's always putting the pieces together in his head, even when he's not doing it out loud. And I think that he sees Meacham as someone who's potentially a little reckless and dangerous and too into his own groove. I think he's intrigued by the danger and mystery around Oliveris and wants to know more and is pulled in there. And then obviously has this sort of kinship with the other federal agent too in Shepard. So
into his own groove. I've never heard that.
Into his own groove.
I like that.
Well, I like to be original and offer, we've done 50 of these and I still have new things to say somehow.
So, Uli, for you, I feel like he's such a family man that we learn and seems to be in a different place where, some of the others seem a bit rogue or ready to be right on the edge. He seems to be thinking more about things from a holistic level. So can you talk a little bit about his character in that aspect and what it means to kind of have a family that he seems to be very active and loving in?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the natural perspective of a father, of a parent, a mother as well, is that my family comes first. And working in a dangerous environment like the LAPD, particularly gang unit, I think he's very aware that if something were to happen to him, it doesn't just solely rely on him. There's other repercussions that happen. But I think his awareness of that is definitely present, but it also doesn't deter him from taking a step back or anything like that from the job. I think it even pushes him forward.
So, Elliot, last question and wrapping up for Keontae. He has, like you said, a pedigree in this, and we kind of get to see that play out with his opinion and things and his outlook as we develop into the show. Can you talk to me about why that sort of puts him in a different sort of stakes with the group and his outlook throughout this series?
Of course. Well, it's interesting listening to your answer because it made me think that in many ways, for you, family is first, and for Keontae, family is everything behind him that's led him up to this moment. So he's very much forward facing for himself. And I think he's committed to the cause and to bringing about justice. But there is this element of unknown ambition with Keontae, which I wouldn't go so far as to say it makes him dangerous, but it definitely does give him the potential to have a very piercing edge and ability to choose a different direction for himself at any moment. You see a glimpse of what that could look like in our first season. But I think that's what sets him apart from the others is that it's not that he's selfish, but he's really in it for himself. He is who he's considering. His own ambition is who he's considering, and how far he's willing to go to get to where he wants to get.
But it's a noble, like you mentioned, being the first black
FBI
director, which is, when you said that during the shoot, it all kind of like pieced together really.
Yeah, the human core of what his drive is for sure.
Exactly.
Thanks, man.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Mike Island with BIN News Now. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo are set to sign a U.S. brokered peace deal. According to Reuters, it will be signed in Washington, D.C., giving a sign of hope for the end of fighting that has killed and displaced thousands of people. The ninth escaped New Orleans inmate has been captured. According to CNN, the sheriff's office says one last inmate is still at large. Antoine Massey escaped with 9 other inmates in May. He was arrested Friday afternoon in New Orleans, CNN says. Derek Groves, the last remaining escapee, is still on the run. The University of Virginia's president is stepping down after pressure from the Trump administration over the school's DEI efforts. According to the New York Times, James E. Ryan has